non-criminal proceedings involving children in cases like family law breakdown, adoption, care, supervision and so on. 8,000 proceedings altogether, according to the records of the court service. In about 2,000 of those cases, children were represented in one way or another. So still today, the future of children is being decided by courts without them being heard. And that's one of the things we have to change.
Okay, Richard, address that, please, if you would. That all children will or can or will, under the terms of the Constitution, be heard from this point onwards in legal situations.
They will not, for the simple reason that this is a great fraud being put on the parents of the nation. No provision, there's no provision for a relative to vindicate the rights of a child when the state fails. This is the big lacuna of this wording. And as I said again, parents would be absolutely mad and irresponsible if they read the Alive, which goes through the wording word by word. They will thank Father McKevitt for the great service this great Dominican has done to the nation, to alert them that they're surrendering actually their rights to protect their children. If there was a word, if Parents for Children put forward such a wording and it was rejected, and also adoption. For instance, we know of what happened in Cleveland, but and if this wording is passed, it opens up that door. 60 of children were taken, the famous Dr. Hicks. Now, the parents, after years, got some vindication insofar as that they got compensation, but most of them never got their children back because their children were adopted. And we know also that our Constitution, in the Baby Ann case, where Justice Hardiman was able to return an adopted child from adopted parents to the original parents, who went through a stage of immaturity and so on when they were enabled, and then so therefore the Baby Ann case, they would return to their natural parents.
Explain to me, why should legally married parents not be subject to having their abused or neglected children adopted in exactly the same manner as unmarried parents currently are? A marriage licence should not be a licence to abuse.
It's not a licence to abuse. What we are actually handing over, we're handing over vast power to the state, which has been responsible for, which has shown that it's not to be trusted. And what I will say again to the Irish people, that they have one of the great constitutions in the world, which makes the people sovereign, which makes the judiciary, the executive arm, and the judicial functions of government subject to the people. And
okay.
John, I just want the final point is that John Henry Adams, who was the second president of the United States, when he was campaigning to become president, he warned the people. He said, never ever trust your politicians. He said, shackle your constitution to your hands. And I am asking the Irish
people... That's why he insisted that they should have the right to bear arms as well, by the way.
What I am asking the parents to read the Alive newspaper. There's thousands of copies now going throughout the country, and to get on the Alive website, and they'll get this wording broken down word and explained word by word.
We know about Alive, Richard, and have to give Fergus an opportunity to come back in there. The Cleveland case, when Richard is talking about an egregious case which took place, I don't know how long ago, was it a decade or so ago?
2 decades ago.
2 decades ago at this stage. I always need to add at least 50% onto what I thought.
We're all getting older. We're all getting older.
We are indeed. But this particular case involved, I mean, it was an egregious case, and it involved children being taken away from their parents. What Richard is saying is that under this new constitutional proposal, that those children could have been adopted by somebody else when they should not have even been taken away from their parents. It's a scary case.
It is a scary case, and it was a terrible failure. It was an awful failure, and there have been failures, as we've talked about. There have been failures like that in this country. But look, I'm not going to even go down the road that Richard wants me to go down. I'm going to tell you what is in the provision, Miles. What is in the provision around adoption is that a child who has been abandoned by his married parents, if that abandonment has lasted for a period of years, and it must be abandonment, you talked about neglect and cruelty and so on, It doesn't even apply to those situations. It only applies to abandonment. A child who's been abandoned for a period of years, provided that child is already in a stable fostering relationship for a period of at least 18 months, can be adopted, provided it is also judged by a High Court judge to be in the best interest of the child, and provided that the child's views are taken into consideration. That's what the amendment is proposing. That's all the amendment is proposing. It does not apply in any measure, and couldn't ever apply.
I profoundly
disagree.
disagree. I profoundly.
Richard,
just let me finish the point before you profoundly
let me
disagree.
finish the point. Then profoundly disagree. It couldn't apply in any circumstance. It can't apply in any circumstance to a child in a happy, healthy home. It can only apply, and there's about 2,000 children, we reckon, in Ireland, who have been abandoned by their parents, who are in long-term state care, who have been deprived of the second chance of a stable family life. This is designed to address the needs of those children and no other children.
Okay, well, let me put that point to Richard Green. There are sufficient safeguards in place, according to Fergus, and you would be denying those children the right to be adopted and to take their place in an alternative home.
Again, Fergus is trying to, and the Children's Rights Alliance and all these organisations and the government are trying to cod the people. This amendment is not really about.
Why would we do that, Richard?
Wait,
why would we do
don't
it?
interrupt me, please.
Why would we be trying to cod
This
the
amendment is not really about caring for vulnerable children. It is a smokescreen to distract voters from the real agenda.
What is the real agenda?
For instance, the best interest test. This is an explosive clause. Provision shall be made by the law that in resolution of all proceedings, one brought by the state as a guardian of the common good for the purpose of preventing the safety and welfare of any child from being prejudicially affected, or two, concerning the adoption, guardianship, or custody of or access to any child, the best interest of the child. Now, this
Richard,
is an
make your point very quickly because I have to get the last minute to
explosive
Fergus.
clause because it's riddled with dangers and problems. The first of them being that the best interest clause, that is the notion, the best interest of the child. This notion is from the UN Convention and threatens every home. It's not just the well-being of the child, but his or her best interest as decided by the state, not the parents. Parents are no longer presumed to know what is the good of their own children.
I have to stop you there, Fergus. In conclusion, I don't know whether you want to address that. If not, I have a specific question I want to ask you, but go ahead.
I don't want to address that point in any particular terms. I mean,
okay, well,
I approach this as a father and as a grandfather.
And I have a father too.
And I want the best interests of my children and my grandchildren and every child and every grandchild written into our Constitution. I want their voices to be heard. We have a fantastic opportunity to ensure that our children and our grandchildren are better protected, better respected and better heard than they've been in the past.
In the 30 seconds or so that we have left, which all has to go to Fergus for the purposes of balance, is this not all about sending a message, a guilty state making some restitution? In other words, it's all about symbolism, and a practical working constitution should not be about symbolism.
It is partly about symbolism, but it's not about the state, it's about the people, it's about our children. This is an opportunity for the people of Ireland to make a real, profound, deep statement of intent of how we want to see our children protected, respected and heard into the future.
Okay, we have to leave it there. Thank you very much.
It's an attack on the rights of parents, and please, parents, read the Alive and vote no.
I think we've got Alive now at this stage. Richard Green and Fergus Finney, thank you both very much indeed.